Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about grow anytime, anywhere. The future of farming is here. And we're going to cover, learn how AI and hydroponics beats seasonal barriers. So we're talking farming that's in the winter, spring, and the fall, as opposed to just harvesting in the fall. Now, I've got three heroes on this webinar. Fuseinat, you've been my hero because I've always believed in hydroponics, and I don't know why people do not do that. So she comes to the experience of being the CEO of Cangro. She's been around for 25 plus years in the grocery industry, and she's currently involved in advancing tech-driven sustainability and farming. And I definitely appreciate you. And a little side note is Fuseinat is, I guess, the spark next to Claudius, who's the catalyst for developing the actual app for Fred. So that's a fun fact. Now, my other hero is Dr. Trevor Charles. Now, you're my doctor of soil because I never, I have a little garden in my backyard that I have things in pots and I grow vegetables. I'm not like a flower kind of a person. And I've always wondered, how on earth is it that I plant tomatoes one year and the next year I replant them and they don't harvest, they don't bloom? And talking to Trevor Charles, I'm learning so much. So he's a professor of plant and microbe research, microbiome company founder, executive director of LBIH, Black Innovation Hub. Dr. Charles, can you tell us what does LBIH stand for?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'd be happy to. We have just defined what the L is, and and we just launched that this week, so it's good timing. So our full name is Lanterna Black Innovation Hub. So Lanterna because we shine a light and provide guidance.
Oh, I like
Excellent.
that.
Excellent.
I like that. So for myself, I'm the CEO and co-founder of my AI Pathway, and I co-launched Fred app with Claudius. And we're focusing on local and immigrant farmers because we believe you are the backbone of a country and of a community. And it's my belief that you don't get enough support and assistance. The bigger farmers get all the support when it comes to local farmers and immigrant farmers. I feel that, you know what, let's get you an edge over the competition. We want to help you all succeed. And Claudius, he's the CEO and founder. He co-launched Fred app, and due to his conversation with Fuseinat, I remember when we started my AI pathway, we were thinking, what exactly are we going to do for our project? And then sure enough, Fuseinat started talking about what she does, some of the challenges she's experienced in getting it to market. And then boom, before you know it, a year later, we're sitting right here doing a webinar on our MVP. So that's about it. So for us to really do this webinar effectively, we've got to know the challenges, because if you don't know the challenges, how can you solve the problem? Now, the challenge, why year-round a solution matters. You've got climate dependency. Traditional farming is tied up with unpredictable weather. We've got droughts. We've got the ozone layer burning things up, shorter growing seasons, limited harvest potential, and increased risk. And then we have income is not stable, whereby its inconsistent yields leads to unreliable income streams. Now, many of you farmers out there, I'm sure you can understand and relate to this, whereby because your yields are not consistent, it becomes challenging to have stable income. And then there's small farms and local farmers are, they don't have access to resources when the market shifts. Fragile supply chains, like there's the high distribution costs, reduces your local markets. You've got communities paying the high price and higher costs and limited choices. How many of you on the call have experienced this, where you go to the grocery store and you buy something, and then within like 3 days it's rotten, or the price is really expensive and you figure it'd be fresh, but it tastes horrible? And the reason why is a lot of the stuff is being shipped from the States, picked too early, and then how do you really feed your family with this stuff which is not of good quality? So the takeaway here pretty much is that, these challenges aren't a sign of failure. They're systemic barriers. Year-round farming gives you tools to stabilize yields, secure income, and strengthen local food resilience. And that's what we're trying to do with bread. Okay, so I've done enough talking. Let me hand it over to Fuseinat for solution.
Yeah, so what is the solution for all these problems that we're facing right now? And we at Cangro think it's hydroponics or indoor growing. Hydroponic systems are redefining farming. And what is hydroponic? It's a method of growing plants without soil, using nutrient-rich water solution in a controlled environment, which means that you can grow your food anywhere, in a warehouse, in your house, at the back of your house, in anywhere you live, you can grow your food, and you can grow it 365 days of the year. So some of the key benefits of hydroponic is controlled environment. When you control your environment, you save a lot. You grow year round, regardless of the climate or the season that you are growing in. You reduce risk from pests, weather, soil quality issues. You also get high yield because you maximize your space. You make small space, you maximize your space, which means that no matter where you live, you can be growing your food, whether you live in an urban area or you live in Alaska, you can grow your own food. Yeah, and the plants grow faster and it's more consistent harvest because you are controlling everything. You're controlling your environment, you're controlling your weather, you're controlling the nutrients, you're controlling basically everything. You are able to determine your yield, and you're also growing faster. You also, when we grow with hydroponic, we have water efficiency. When we're growing outdoors, we don't know the amount of water that we use. For instance, I'm a farmer, and this year we had a very, very terrible weather here in where I live. We really had to use a lot of water to water because it was very, very hot. Normally we get the rain, but we were hardly getting any rain between July to September. But if we were growing in the hydroponics, we use like 90% less water because the water recycles, and we only use water to grow. Because we also recycles the water, we have efficiency in our growing, because so we don't put too much water or too little water. So you get that efficiency. So some of the takeaway today for most of the farmers that would like to get into hydroponics is to empower farmers to produce more food in a more sustainable way, use less space, creating stability and opportunity for urban farmers or small scale farmers. Because when you're growing with hydroponic, you can either go vertical, horizontal, or so you can grow, get more yield. For instance, I have a little office, and in the office, I have an 8 system, or 8 which grows like about 500 plants at a time. But this system is only on 4 by 8 feet, which is about a plot of land if we were growing outside. So imagine when you're growing with hydroponic, you use less space, less water, and more efficient. And also you are able to control pests and other intruders that come into the system. Part 2, if the next slide. Yeah, so now most people always ask this question: hydroponics and greenhouses versus traditional land farming. All these growing methods are very good. For us in North America, because of the kind of climate that we have, we, for instance, grow both indoors and outdoors. And we can see that growing indoors, it's more sustainable in the sense that you have more yield. You also more yield per acre when you're growing indoors. Because you can stack your systems to go high up, so you can go as high as you like with a little less space. You are also able to grow 10 or 20 times higher output. Studies on leafy green and vertical shows that vertical farm produces 13.8 times more than horizontal systems, which is the way we grow when we are growing on the farm, because we grow horizontally when we're growing in the farm. So this is very important because it helps with higher yields. It also supports more produce per SKU. It also enables consistent year-round supply of local produce. That is very, very important for us here, especially for us Black farmers, because we can only farm during the summer month. So you can see that in the summer months, our produces are very cheap, but come a couple of months now, our produces skyrocket and it goes like 3 times the price that we sell in the summer months. All because most of us, we all grow in the summer. But if we can have systems where we can be growing all year round, we can grow food more sustainable. We can also be able to reduce the cost of growing. We can also be able to help with the food insecurity in our communities.
Yeah, well said. Definitely well said.
So when you compare growing in a controlled environment and growing outside, most harvests in controlled environment cuts growth times with optimized light and nutrients. So it doesn't matter where, like people ask, so if I'm going to be growing indoors, what do I do about photosynthesis? Or what do I do about the light? So we grow with LED lights, which are specially made to grow different plants, depending on what you're growing. So if you're growing leafy greens, if you're growing vegetables with fruits and things, the lights are made in a way that you can be able to, it gives you the same thing that you get from the sun. So that way you can even grow your plants during the winter months. And so and also the nutrients. The nutrients is also very important because you use nutrients that the plants actually need. So for instance, like when we are growing outside, we put the fertilizers and everything, but we don't really let's say calculate the amount of what we are putting in the soil. But when we're growing with hydroponic, you have the accuracy because you're able to calculate the amount of nutrients you're putting in your water and what yield you're going to be getting. And this makes you to get shorter growth cycle and higher turnover. It also gives you quicker revenue, better alignment with demand peaks. Like when it's holidays, the restaurants always get what they want. If you're growing indoors, you can always supply the restaurant 365 days of the year, and you will not have any problem. The next slide.
I think that's mine, I think. Okay. So thank you for that, can everyone see now why Fuseinat's one of my heroes? Okay, give her a round of applause, thumbs up, show some love. That's phenomenal. I've learned so much from you, so thank you for that. So I'm going to do a comparison. We're still comparing hydroponics, greenhouse versus traditional farming. Now, the only, I guess, drawback, and it really isn't really a drawback, is just the energy costs and sustainability and budgeting for that success. So you do have to invest in electrical systems, but the energy output, make sure that it's efficient and you're doing your research. So you're using efficient lighting, climate smart practices. So you're not just erecting these units and then paying all this money. There's ways around it to be smart. And why this matters, it's important to build energy costs into operational budgets from the start. Once you do that, remember what Fuseinat says, you can grow all year round. So that little extra cost you had to spend on the electricity in the building, that is a cost, but you're able to produce not just 4 months out of the year, you're producing all 12 months of the year. And you're even able to produce, like when Fuseinat talked about how seasons, like the winter seasons, you can still be selling your goods versus not having anything to sell because it's all not available. Okay, so those are the two, I guess, things to consider. But overall, I believe that hydroponics and greenhouses are a better way to have sustainable farming throughout. Now, next, I'm going to call on Dr. Trevor Charles, and he's going to share some insight.
Thank you. Thank you to Fuseinat and Colin for doing that great introduction and providing that excellent information. One of the things that I was amazed when I first was introduced to this space, I was amazed to learn that in Canada, over half of the vegetables that are produced in greenhouses. And so these are all hydroponic systems. In Canada, it is mostly tomato, peppers, cucumbers, some lettuce and leafy greens, more recently strawberries. There are some things like eggplant, but I think that there's a huge opportunity to expand the type of vegetables that are produced in these systems. And I think that's where there's a real opportunity. So even though these are really, really great systems and you can keep the pests at bay and, there's no problem with weeds, but there are still sometimes outbreaks. So a really good example is at the same time as we had our COVID pandemic, there is also a pandemic of tomatoes. And it started in Israel and Jordan and made its way around the world. And this was mostly in greenhouses. And we had cases where entire crops would be wiped out. And this was a virus called the tomato brown rugose fruit virus. It was really devastating. And so we had a lot of, I don't know if everybody remembers, but there was a time when you couldn't get a fast food hamburger with tomato.
Wow.
And partly it was because of that. There was just such a shortage. But of course, there is science that came to solve the problem. And they did that by developing seeds that were resistant to the virus. And, it's a continual arms race, right? As the virus evolves and you have to develop seeds quickly. But the other thing is we have developed ways that you can detect the virus. So just like you can detect the COVID virus, when they shove that Q-tip up your nose to take a sample. Yeah. But you can do the same thing in a greenhouse, right? You can take a sample of a plant, or you can take a sample of the water that's circulating, and you can determine all of the bacteria and fungi and viruses that are in that system. And you can, but based on, and you do that by extracting DNA and RNA and determining the sequence, or using qPCR, which is the same method that was used to detect the COVID virus. Use that method in order to detect it.
Wow.
And so the real advantage of doing that is that you can be sure of whether you have disinfected properly, or if you do see the presence of the virus or the bacterial or the fungal pathogen that causes the disease, then you can take action ahead of time in order to provide the proper treatment, right? So this was really the basis of our Healthy Hydroponics project, and this was with some funding from the Ontario government and the Canadian government, where we surveyed a number of greenhouses, mostly in Ontario, really to develop our methods for detecting the diseases. And then we rolled out a commercial service, and that's called the Healthy Hydroponics. So we develop and use genomics tools to monitor these hydroponic systems. We can differentiate between the good microbes and the bad microbes, and detecting the harmful microbes early really helps you stay on top of it. But there's another part of it that I wanted to highlight that's pretty important. That has to do with food safety. So you've all heard of different recalls that happen, when people get sick because they have salmonella or E. coli or listeria or something like that that has contaminated the food. Well, that same process where we are looking for the microbes that cause disease, we can also use that to detect those bacteria.
Wow.
Or, well, it's mostly bacteria in this case that are harmful to you and that can cause food poisoning. Okay, so that's a pretty important thing there. Right now, we are, a lot of the growers in Southern Ontario are beset with a new disease, and this is mostly the pepper growers. So there is a new Fusarium strain. And one of our clients had to pull out their whole crop several months in advance, because with tomato and pepper under these in these greenhouses, you can have the crop in there for almost a full year, and for most of that time they're actually producing. So you can imagine, say you get your outbreak after 6 months, then you've lost half of your production, and that can be tens of millions of dollars. Staying on top using these types of methods is pretty important. Okay, let's go on to the next slide.
Wow. Okay.
So I want to talk to you about something else. And so this is another one of our companies called Earth Microbial. And when we think about these hydroponic systems, they're not usually grown in soil. So they're either straight in the water or aeroponics where it's misted, or and just have the bare roots dangling, or you have a substrate like rock wool.
Wait, I think you're breaking
substrate.
up.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, maybe turn off your camera if you have it on.
Okay, sure.
Just for the bandwidth. Yeah, that happens to me a lot too.
Okay. So we have different substrates like rock wool or coconut fiber, which provides a solid substrate, but it doesn't provide all the microbes that are normally found in soil. So what we can do is because we know a lot about the microbes that are present in the soil and also the beneficial microbes, we can add them back to the system, like probiotics. And so that's what our company Earth Microbial does. And so we have bacteria, such as shown on this slide, that can help the plant to resist plant stress. So for example, when you're transplanting your seedlings into the greenhouse, often that's a very stressful condition. And so these bacteria, what they do is they short circuit the ethylene signaling pathway. And that, and they do that through this enzyme called ACC deaminase that essentially will consume all of the ACC that is in the plant. And that ACC is what is normally turned into that ethylene. And ethylene is the signal that the plant produces and signals to all of the surrounding plants that it's a stressful condition. So essentially, by adding these bacteria, you can fool the plant into thinking it's not stressed. And so it then goes along its business and continues to grow instead of trying to conserve resources. So that's one of our products. Another product that we have is able to help the plant to fend off diseases like fungal diseases. And then another one is able to help with the production of nitrogen fertilizer and uptake of nitrogen. So it helps with the nutrients. So we're still learning about how to best do this, but I think there's a huge potential of improving the soil microbiomes, or the non-soil microbiome in these systems in order to get better production. I think I have one more slide if we move to the next slide.
Yep.
Okay, so just to summarize here and provide a little bit more context. So what I've talked to you about so far, we can think about as plant-microbe interactions. So that's a very active area of research where people study those complex interactions that happen between microbes and the microbial communities and the plants. So they're both beneficial and detrimental interactions. And you can think of it similar to all of the microbes that you have in your gut, right? So you take probiotics because, or some people take probiotics because you want to have a healthy gut, right? Some other things that we're doing in my lab that I'll just touch on briefly. We work on bioplastics, and basically what this is a conversion of food waste to bioplastics. And one thing, if you've had a garden, you'll know that the agricultural industry really loves plastics. There's plastic everywhere.
Yeah,
plastic,
true.
all these plastic pots but what if we could make these biodegradable? So that's what we're working on. We have a process for converting food waste into bioplastics using bacteria that can make essentially polyester types of molecules that are completely biodegradable. And then I talked to you about the pathogen surveillance, both for help the growers guard against crop loss and also improve food safety. So, this is an amazing area. I like to call it controlled environment agriculture, but it's also greenhouses and indoor farms. And there's so much potential. Canada's actually a technological hotbed of this. If you go down to the Leamington area towards Windsor, we've got it's all full of greenhouses, and we really need to take advantage of that technology and expand it to the wonderful assortment of crops that we can grow under these systems.
Wow, that's beautiful. So thank you for that. because what I found interesting is I learned so much that I remember it was about a year ago, I was growing some dill in my garden, and some of it, I guess, pollination ended up on the grass. So I cut out the dill and I put it back in the soil where it's supposed to go, but then it died within like the few days. And I'm thinking, what exactly do wrong? I remember being very careful trying to take it out and not to disturb it, but you've answered my question as to why it wouldn't last, because the was under stress and it wasn't renewing. Yeah, so thank you for that. That's beautiful. So now everyone sees why you're my number 2 hero, Dr. Trevor Charles. Give him a round of applause, a thumbs up, a heart. Well done. Love it. That's a really informative. And what I love about what you're talking is you have to understand the soil. You get to be soil smart. And then it's not a matter of just planting things in the ground and then hoping for a crop. It's doing it smartly. And you definitely covered that. So thank you for that. So now solution number 3 for year-round farming, and that's technology in agriculture. Now, what we're working on with the Fred app is stage 2, is precision farming, smarter year-round yields, and we're talking about developing sensors that monitor the soil, of what Dr. Trevor Charles talked about, the moisture, nutrient levels, crop health in real time. Now, the reason why that's important is if you're not monitoring the soil, you know, your harvest may actually get the same disease he talked about, the bacteria may die off. Drones, another way. So instead of taking forever to fertilize your acreage of land, you could use drones to also aerial imaging to detect stress, pest, disease, as well as mapping out. We'll be doing that as well with Fred, the next stage of development, whereby you can map out your plot and know exactly what's in which area. Then there's the GMS mapping, guiding, planting, irrigation, fertilization, and pinpointing accuracy. That's really key. So you're not just planting and wishing for the best. You're being methodical and scientific when it comes to technology of agriculture. And the takeaway for farmers, it's about investing in technology and optimizing resources that's going to reduce waste. I know everyone talked about, earlier talked about, there's the waste reduction, ensure consistent, high quality yields around when you start embracing technology. Technology may appear to be a bit scary, but when you embrace it, your life can be so much better than if you did it just by hand. So it's about working smarter, not harder, with the tools that you have. And now also solution number 4 with Fred, we're going to be looking to do AI in agriculture, and that's taking the guesswork out of the precision. So we're going to use AI as data-driven insight, because data is king when it comes to farming or anything. It's like a currency. And when you have the right data, you can help farmers make smarter, faster, and more accurate decisions in real time, versus looking at the crop, discovering there's an issue, and then by then, the time you try to figure out your crop, as Dr. Trevor Charles said, it's like half gone. You got to get rid of it, you know? There's the crop cycling planning, where you optimize planting, your harvest schedule year round. That's something I learned from Dr. Trevor Charles. I didn't know you had to cycle the planting. We had a call way back when he talked about moving stuff. So just don't grow the exact same vegetable. So if you're growing, I guess, garlic, you can't keep growing it forever. You have to eventually change it over and plant something else, because the nutrients will be lost in the soil. Resource management, there is the stuff of automated water, lights. Then there's also the pest detection. And then the outcomes is lower costs and less waste, because who has money to waste, especially when you're a farmer, because farming can be expensive. You want to make sure you use your stuff efficiently. Then there's the higher yields and profit. We all like that. And then there's the precise harvest time, When you know when exactly to harvest, you can then put steps to replant and do new harvest for the future. And the takeaway for farmers pretty much is AI turns farming into a data-powered business, giving you control, predictability, profitability that traditional methods can't match. So the farms that we used to do back in the day of like my grandparents, my grandmother had a small, tiny farm. She would have been more profitable if she knew what to plant, when to plant, and how to harvest it accordingly, right? The world isn't the same as it used to be. There's now the greenhouse gases taking place. There's the um, climate change. Things are changing. And then you can use this AI to actually help steer you in the right direction to be successful. Now, have you met Fred? Now, we've developed the app. It's live now. It's Fred Marketplace. It's now on Apple. And it's all about empowering farmers and connecting community. That's our first thing. So about Fred. Now, what Fred Marketplace does is connects local and immigrant farmers with the end user. We're reducing the CO2 emissions of cross-border trucking. So instead of relying on the produce coming from the States or abroad, another country, you can grow within 75-kilometer radius of delivery, and it's going to taste much fresher than what you're getting cross-border and shipping cross-country, out of country. And to help you farmers, what Clydes and I and the team will be doing is we're going to offer technical assistance and also share equipment access and direct connections with consumers who value the unique products and the heritage of farmers. So those who want the Jubilees, you can grow that, and we could find people who are interested, because I find when I go to the local grocery stores and I want like my ethnic foods, it doesn't taste the same because it's been pre-shipped way too early as opposed to if I grew it myself. So the farmers out there who grow ethnic foods, you can serve your community and more, and sustainability is what it comes down to. So if everyone takes a moment, if you want to find out more about our Fred app, and Fred stands for Farming Resource Equitable Distribution, take the time now to scan the QR code, and then we'll actually have the actual website for you to go to find out more. And you can also log on, and we'll assist you accordingly. So that's my love there of food. Has everyone scanned the QR code? There'll be another QR code later to scan. Give me a thumbs up if you have, or let me know. You can open the mic and let me know if you scanned it.
Another 10 seconds or so.
Okay.
It's got my name on there. Oops.
Okay. No worries. I'll just I meant to change that.
Okay. It's your call. You've done great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Likewise.
I think you can go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then now we're going to do the Q&A, and this QR code is for the actual app, and the website is, if you can't scan the QR code, if any challenges, you can go to findatfred.com. So I'm going to open the floor for any questions. Fuseinat, Dr. Trevor Charles, I'm on, Clydes on. Does anyone have any questions? What did you think of the presentation? Did you find it helpful, or any questions? And I'm going to share on the next slide Fuseinat's contact information, as well as Trevor Charles, for you to contact. And when Clydes, can you type in your email address in the chat, just in case people want to get a hold of you directly, because I don't want to change the screen because I have to minimize it and people won't see stuff. So now open the floor for questions. Are there any questions? No questions?
Don't be shy. We've given you a lot of information.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask one.
Hello.
Hey,
Okay,
okay.
go ahead.
Go for it.
Yep. Who's that?
Yeah, I just my name is Bumi. I just came across the link and like a farmer will always be a farmer. Though I'm not
Good.
farming here, I'm just
No worries.
kind of want to know, is there a way to help like new farmers or someone that is
Yes.
interested to become a
Yes.
farmer here? Yeah. So that's my question. I don't know where to start from or how to start. I once met Gladius, but it's been
Yeah.
some months
Connect
now.
with Claudius.
Yeah,
Connect with
direct that
Claudius.
to me. So I've just put my email address in the chat. So send me an email. That's my part. That's why this has been calling show, but I'm here for support. I am the one who then, work with you and Trevor and Fuseinat to actually help you guys get on board within the ecosystem so that you can be successful.
Yep. Because when you succeed, we all succeed.
Yes.
And I'm looking for quality food out there. And I know that a lot of the farmers on the call have quality food, but the challenge is the distribution cost. I think it's what, $6 to $8 grand to drop off your load at Walmart or Metro. It's a high number, and then they undercut you in terms of selling your stuff. So we're trying to connect you directly with the end consumer, so that we're cutting out the middleman, so that you can keep more money in your pocket and have more of a wider reach versus paying the extra costs, dropping off the load, and then they're undercutting you of how much your stuff is worth when you could get more selling directly, right?
Yeah. I have a question for Trevor. Now you presented 3 different solution opportunities in terms of companies and what things. Solutions that you actually offer through different companies. So what kind of companies, what kind of farmers, what kind of business owners come to you for help?
Yeah. So we're developing a good client base in the Leamington area. So with tomato, pepper, cucumber growers, also a number of indoor farms, really across the country. We have some in the US, some of the large greenhouses in the US. And the interesting thing is that when you first meet the farmers, meet the growers, they don't tell you what problems they have. Right? But it's only after working with them that you come to understand what they are, because they have to develop trust in you, right?
Exactly.
So that's really important, and then we can work together in partnership to develop solutions for them. So yeah, the Canadian Greenhouse Conference is coming up October October 8th and 9th in Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls.
That's always a really great opportunity to see all the technology, all the growers, all of the service providers. So we're going to have a booth there under Healthy Hydroponics, and looking forward to it.
Okay, and I have a follow-up question for you, Fuseinat. Trevor mentioned, and I am aware that a lot of the greenhouse productions, of course, are those with the early investments, those with access to funding. So it's all tomatoes, the boring, regular stuff. We're here needing to grow our jute leaves, our callaloo, our, okra, things that we want to eat. What challenges have you seen or opportunities to overcome those challenges for our community, our people, if I put it bluntly, to be able to address those issues of, I mean, I guess that also probably helps with Bumi's question. How can she become a farmer and be able to grow if she wants to grow in a greenhouse water leaf?
Yeah, like there's a lot of demand for our produce because we have limited supply. So the opportunity there, it's really big. The problem, like most people or new farmers have, is land, how to acquire land, where to start from, what are the rules and regulations so that applies here. Unlike farming back home, is totally a different ball game here. You have to follow regulations and stuff like that. So that is the one of the issues. But to start to become a farmer here, I always tell people that it's better to learn before you dip your hand into it. Because when you learn the way it's done here, you save a lot of time and effort. So it's very, very important. Over here, we are lucky. There's so much information everywhere that you can get your hands on to learn. So if one can learn how farming is done here, I think that, and there's a lot of resources to help farmers here also, especially like Bumi, women farmers. The government is trying to encourage a lot more women to go into farming. So there's a lot of resources to help farmers or to help you to become a farmer. There's also a lot of cooperative and communities that they come together to farm. So doing farming as a business is a big opportunity here. And it's something that when you go into it, you're not going to regret it. There are ways to go about it. You don't have to own a land before you farm here. Like I always tell people that most of the big farmers here, they don't own lands, but they have thousands and thousands of acres of farmlands, but they don't own them. So you don't have to own a land to farm here. There are ways to go about it. So like Claudio said, after this, the call, if you send an email or something, we can help you or guide you on how to go about it.
Excellent. Thank
Beautiful.
you. Now that I've led with those questions, I'm hoping it will drive one or two others to actually ask. And anyways, ask more. So it's not just my voice.
Yeah. As I have a saying that with every great opportunity in life, it all starts with a conversation. That's what we're having right now. So the more information you have, the better. And we live in a country where time is money. So if you don't invest the time in learning this stuff, you're going to spend a lot of money making a lot of mistakes and corrections. So you have two experts in the field on the call. I encourage you to reach out to them and ask some questions. We'll still open up the Q&A for a bit longer, but
yeah, we have 13 more minutes or 10 more minutes to go, so let's make use of it. And just to back up with, or to make everybody aware present here, Fuseinat spoke about learning. Fuseinat's organization, Cangro, one of the essential parts of the services they offer is education.
Yep. So
take advantage of it to actually get started. It is lucrative. If I can actually say something, when during COVID, I had the opportunity to build a health system, and at the end of it, I sat down and said, and looked at, okay, where can this application go? And part of that research led me to do an overall research on, I focused my research on what would I describe as pandemic resistant industries? So whether there's war or there's pandemic or the world is ending, what will still function when everybody else, like, you can't go in the office, you can't go, you can't go, you can't go. What would function? And I came up with agriculture, because we need to eat regardless.
Gotta
We
eat.
need transportation. We have to get it from wherever it's made to where it's needed.
Yeah.
Construction, whatever destruction is happening, we need to build or rebuild or build the bridge that's just bombed up so we can actually get there or fly it over there. Healthcare is one of them. And the other one is manufacturing. We need to make it. So I came up with those as pandemic resistant. So agriculture is a worthwhile investment because we need to eat. There's never enough lettuce in the grocery store, right? And when there's enough, one of the things I always like to go back to is, I was born in Sierra Leone, and I always like to tell people that growing up as a child in Sierra Leone, we never pick the mango that's fallen on the ground, which a lot of people here will probably want to wash and eat it. No.
I'd wash and eat it.
You have to get the fresh one off the tree because there's many more.
Exactly. You had no idea how blessed you were.
So anyway, any more questions from anyone?
Hey, this is Jerry.
Hey there, Jerry. Well, thank you for joining us. I saw when you came on board.
Yeah. So, quick question. Maybe Colin and others might be wanting to answer this. So, if you're starting out, what sort of investment package would one look at? In terms of size and so on, that would make it reasonably profitable. I wouldn't say profitable. That would make you break even, so to speak, on something like this.
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a premise to it so everyone understands why Dr. Joe Grant comes up with a question like that. Brilliant question. Thank you very much. He runs the business school at Carleton University. So that question makes sense. So I'm going to put that to Fuseinat. You're on mute.
All right. Starting a farm requires different strategies. So we have different types of farming. So depending on the kind of farming that you want to do and what you will need. So for instance, if let's say you want to start a microgreen farm, you don't need much. A couple of thousand, you will be able to start a very good microgreen farm. If you want to farm outdoors, let's say for this year, we have farmers that started with about $5,000. They are able to start on 2-acre farm, and with their water, their most of the things that they have to buy, which is fertilizer, seeds, water, and the rest. And most of them got quite a good yield. It also depends on what you are growing. So
Actually, I was thinking of the hydroponic.
Okay, hydroponic, the initial cost is expensive. When you want to start an hydroponic farm, if you want to go big, the initial cost is expensive. The minimum hydroponic farm that you can start, if you want to start like a good size hydroponic farm, I always say it runs like almost $500,000 to start an hydroponic farm. But there are ways you can do it and start small. I always tell people start small and then you grow from there. I have some farmers that have started with like $10,000 and they are now running systems that it's up to 100,000. So you can start with a $10,000, $5,000, $2,000, $1,000 system, and you grow from there. So you start small and you grow from there.
Can I add to that there's certainly in Ontario has, actually I think they probably, the eastern, no, I think all of Ontario, there's a government agency called SOFI, SOFII. When a farmpreneur or a farmer starts to gain traction or start to sell and want to scale, they actually fund. And I know one company, for example, that's now at a very, very large scale. I believe they got like over $500,000 funding from Sophie to actually scale. So, but what they want to see is that, so if you start with a $2,000 or $5,000 investment, and then be able to show that you have a market, which of course, I mean, if you grow in food and not selling it, there's something wrong, because people need to eat it. And I guess really good accounting, properly set up organization that, you know, you registered business, account, showing year-end accounts, tax returns, and all that kinds of stuff. Then there's funding to actually help scale that. I believe somebody's online. I would like his input on this as well. Emmanuel.
Okay, good.
Yes, can you comment on that as well? Are you with us, Emmanuel Fondi? I saw you come in.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I got some setbacks, so I caught the train on its way. So I've been listening more.
Don't worry, man. It's gonna be recorded, so you're gonna have the full feed. So don't stress.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah. So with the issue of like starting and then scaling up or having the resources. It's more like she just previously said. It's great to begin small and then scale up. But when you're really just coming in, it can really be very challenging, especially if you're thinking, let's say for immigrants or any other person, not just maybe new immigrants like most of us, first generation immigrants, but mostly anyone who is not coming from a family farming background that has been established here. If someone is from a farming family here established, you naturally grew up and you're just inheriting, and maybe you bring in innovations, but if you're really the first person starting it up, it can be challenging. With hydroponics or other greenhouse farming, the issue of land, maybe it's smaller, it's more of equipment and the other setup, but if you're doing field production, it's the land itself. Nobody would mostly listen to you if you're wanting to, maybe you have some few startup fundings and so on, but it wouldn't really give you land. And most people, financial organizations or others, if you have time, but if you're really into it, the one challenge with farmers is they spend a lot of time in the farm and not enough time to really work on the development of the company. It's so challenging, and you cannot even mobilize the resources because you can pay other experts. So access to land, it's really a stumbling block. Some people, maybe you have some community land to start a small idea, developing it on feed, or maybe some state or public land if you are fortunate to be in that environment, or if you are fortunate to be where you can really have access to some of the rental land to start with. But the challenge is if you're going to get a tractor or get one other equipment or something on land that you are not sure to have a 10, 15 year lease on it, it's problematic to any person who wants to give you the money. So there are really a lot of entry barriers. And if you go to the financial institutions, part of the challenge is they don't understand what you're talking about. I can tell them that if I put water leaf out there, I mean, people are scrambling to get water leaf or jama. I know it, but you need to work for some years. So you would really feel maybe you have to suffer a little bit to struggle and build the initial system in one way or the other, maybe with peer financing or something, but you need to bring something for them to even, you need to already have something going, have operations, have sales, have something going before anyone can even take you seriously. Because most of the people you talk to, if it's not the classical crops or things that people know here, most of the people you're going to want to explain wouldn't understand until they see figures, they see action, they see something concrete. It's been the experience, like the first 3 years or almost 2 or 3 years, you will probably be working on systems, and the crops themselves. I mean, I cut up the presentation a little bit on the way, but I find it very interesting, like having resources that you can turn to. When I just listened this last part of the presentation about and talking about this product that would handle things like stress, and I just realized, like, this particular year, this season, one thing we faced in the farm was we had a long spring. Well, the coal was, it took too long for the coal to go. And then when the cold went off, there was sudden heat peaks, and then it was dry. We've had the driest summer I've ever had since I started doing anything. So, and then I planted amaranth, which is usually one of the easiest stuff to grow. Like, you just throw the seeds and it grows. You might have to find a way to deal with weeds, but for the crop itself, it usually just blooms and just grows. But when there was that fluctuation between cold and heat and then dryness, the green went into flowering because it was stressed. It flowered. So, like, a green that usually just grows just suddenly flowered. And this year, the green that was one you had challenge maybe selling, or you had to, this year nobody had it because it flowered at very early stage for everyone, everywhere. So I started looking and I thought, okay, maybe it's my issue. And then I called 1, 2, 3 persons and I realized it flowered very, very small. So you can't really exploit it. Maybe that change, it affects one vegetable more than the other. But so yeah, I'm just appreciating the presentation. I think it's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I wrap up, just 1 minute, just 1 second. If I wrap up, is like what you guys are doing in Fred. It's good, like bringing us together, facilitating, coming together, and then solving the issues of, if you're really navigating alone, it is challenging. It's extremely challenging.
Gerald, can I just give it back to you? You asked the question. Did you get anything out of the answers given there?
Yes. No, I just, I think it's fine. I just wanted to, to consider the different types of people who might want to get into some of this, and how, what sort of capital you're looking at.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, because also one of the big challenge we're going to have as a community is that of advocacy, because I think the point has been made here that regular original farming is for certain crops, and we have opportunity to innovate, or I'm not sure if we can say innovate, but grow something different, which requires innovation. It does require research, it requires science, it requires understanding, because we're talking about growing tropical stuff in a non-tropical climate. So there's a lot of innovation opportunity. And how do we advocate for policy support, for funding to be available, etc.? That is not, because a lot of funding I find it tends to be like, okay, Black women led or Black women owned business. They don't necessarily, to me, say, let's do something in agriculture to meet this. The focus can be too narrow in terms of how governments look to define their funding. So, I mean, I'll certainly be looking to you. I've not come back to you yet this semester to come back to you to have some further conversations on how we can get Carlton on board.
Maybe a webinar too, feature webinar, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got to wrap this up like soon because we got to honor people's time. But I love where we're going with this. For those who want to connect with Fuseinat, here's our contact information. It's Cangro Agric Inc. and it's Cangro AGRIC @gmail.com.
By the way, Colin, can I just interject? Cangro means it can grow in Canada.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay, that is phenomenal. Okay, that's great. Learning things every day, right? And then Dr. Trevor Charles, he's at the University of Waterloo, and his email address is tcharles@uwaterloo.ca. Okay, and the African proverb is ringing in my mind where it talks about, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And this is exactly what we're doing with Fred and this ecosystem, which is all of you on this call and more. We want to grow, go far, and also grow together. So 2 QR codes at the bottom. The one is for the Fred Marketplace. That's the one to the left. If you want to learn more about Fred and what we're offering and how we can assist you, go to the one on the right, and that's the fredai.ca. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up for a little bit. My name is Colin McLean, and I want to thank you all for taking the time. I want to thank Fuseinat, Dr. Trevor Charles, for your contribution. It's been so valid. You've been planting seeds of knowledge for us so we can reap our future harvests. Okay?
Excellent. And now we know where to go and buy jute leaves.
Exactly. And I'll know how to properly maintain my vegetable garden.
Yes. Invaluable knowledge. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much.
All right.
Watch out for more webinars. We're going to try and do every month except December and maybe August.
Yeah, so the next one's going to be the end of October. So stay tuned. We're focusing on the Fred app itself, which is currently on Apple. So
but we're going to try and cover different conversations, financing, fundings, etc. All kinds of help opportunities, solutions to help get everyone on board. Okay.
Beautiful. All right, so you can stop the recording now, I guess.
Indeed, yes. So